You're about to hear a story that even modern science quietly avoids, not because it's unsolved, but because no one can agree on what actually happened. In 1878, in a quiet Kansas town, four brothers became the center of something so disturbing that records were sealed, witnesses disappeared, and doctors refused to speak. And the strangest part, every explanation only makes it worse. It started like any ordinary family. The Whitmore brothers lived on the edge of town, in a wooden house surrounded by endless fields. People described them as quiet, polite, almost too normal. But within a single year, something changed. Neighbors began noticing that the brothers stopped coming into town as often. When they did, they looked different. Not sick exactly, but distant. As if they were listening to something no one else could hear. Now here, where things take a turn. One evening, a local shopkeeper claimed that when the eldest brother handed him money, his hands were ice cold, unnaturally cold. The kind of cold that didn't feel human. The shopkeeper later swore that the brother didn't blink once during the entire interaction. Before we go further, if you're into real historical mysteries like this, make sure you like and subscribe to Night Archive, because stories like this only get darker. Weeks later, strange sounds started coming from the Whitmore house at night. Not screams, not exactly. More like low humming, almost synchronized. Several neighbors reported hearing it at the same time, describing it as something between a chant and a machine. And every time someone got close to the house to investigate, the sound would stop instantly. Then came the first incident that made the entire town uneasy. A farmhand claimed he saw all four brothers standing in their field just before sunrise, perfectly still, facing the same direction. He watched for nearly 10 minutes. None of them moved, not even slightly. When he finally shouted to get their attention, they slowly turned their heads toward him at the exact same time. That's when fear started spreading. The town doctor was called in after concerns grew. He visited the house and spent nearly 2 hours inside. When he came out, he refused to answer questions. But according to one witness, his hands were shaking so badly he could barely hold his bag. Later that night, he wrote something in his journal, a single line that was discovered years later. Their bodies are alive, but something else is keeping them that way. And then one of the brothers died. At least that's what people thought. A small burial was arranged, closed casket, no viewing. But during the funeral, several attendees noticed something strange. The remaining 3 brothers stood together, completely silent, staring at the coffin. Not grieving, not reacting, just watching. That same night, the grave was found disturbed. No one saw it happen. No footprints, no signs of digging tools. But the coffin had been moved, slightly open. And what was inside, or what wasn't, was never officially documented. After that, things escalated quickly. Residents began reporting that they saw the dead brother walking near the property late at night. At first, people assumed it was grief or imagination, but then multiple sightings came in from different parts of town at the same time. How could that be possible? The sheriff got involved, but even he seemed hesitant. According to records, he attempted to question the brothers again, but after his second visit, he stopped the investigation completely. No explanation, no follow-up. Then came the most chilling detail of all. A schoolteacher, known for being highly rational, claimed she saw the four brothers walking together at dusk. Not unusual, except she had attended the funeral herself. She knew one of them was supposed to be dead. She later described something even stranger. She said their movements were too perfect, too synchronized, like reflections in a mirror rather than separate people. Around this time, livestock in nearby farms began dying under unexplained conditions. No wounds, no signs of disease, just lifeless. Farmers reported that the animals' bodies were cold, far colder than they should have been. And always, in the distance, that same low humming sound. Months passed, and the Whitmore house became something people avoided entirely. Children were warned never to go near it. Even adults crossed the road to stay as far away as possible. But one man decided to investigate anyway. A journalist from a nearby city arrived after hearing rumors. He spent 3 days gathering information, and on the fourth night, he approached the house alone. He was never seen again. His notes, however, were found scattered near the property. Most of them made little sense, half-finished sentences, repeated phrases. But one page stood out. Over and over again, he had written the same line. They are not four. Think about that. Not four. So what were they? Eventually, authorities made a final visit to the house. What they found inside was never fully released to the public, but fragments of the report leaked years later, suggesting something deeply disturbing. The house was empty. No furniture, no personal belongings, no signs that anyone had lived there recently. And yet the walls showed marks, strange patterns, almost like something had been drawn repeatedly over time. Circles, lines, symbols no one could identify. And in the center of the main room, the floorboards were unnaturally cold. Not just cool, cold in a way that didn't match the environment. Even in the middle of summer. After that day, the Whitmore brothers were never officially seen again. No bodies were found. No confirmed sightings. Just stories, whispers, and that one impossible detail that still bothers historians today. If one brother truly died, who was the fourth figure people kept seeing? Or worse, were there ever only four to begin with? To this day, some believe it was a rare psychological condition, a shared delusion that spread through the town. Others think it was something biological, an unknown illness that affected the body in ways science couldn't explain at the time. But there are those who believe something far more unsettling, that whatever was inside that house wasn't human, and maybe never was. Even now, the location where the Whitmore house once stood remains untouched. No one built over it. No one farms the land. Locals still avoid it, especially at night, because every once in a while, people claim they still hear it. That same low, synchronized humming. If you made it this far, tell me in the comments. What do you think really happened to the four brothers? And more importantly, how many were there in the end? Don't forget to share this video with someone who loves mysteries that don't have easy answers, because some stories aren't meant to be solved, and some are better left alone.